Hey everyone, it's Steven from Curvy Woodworking, and in this video we're going to start to upgrade the shop by switching our traditional welder into a welding table. So there's a reason that this table is such a big deal for us. Typically when we use our Stig welder, which is an automatic feeding welder, we're going to have to install a grounding clamp to whatever piece we're welding. And when you put the heat through the welder, you're going to notice that the small tension even coming from that grounding clamp will cause it to start to tilt. So you're not going to have a perfect 90-degree bend, you're going to have an 89 or a 91 degree, something just off perfect. Now by installing a welding table, that's actually going to be a solid steel table. So whatever piece we want to weld, we just place it on this table, which already has a grounding clamp attached to it, and it's going to allow the current from the welder to travel through safely through the table back into the machine. So that there's not going to be any movement, we can now freehand a lot of our welds. Besides the fact that this is a relatively straightforward build, we did have some concerns, mainly being that this piece of steel has to be around a ½ inch so that it doesn't actually melt under the temperature from the welder. So we're going to have to make a very sturdy base. So we're going to have some 1¼ inch steel left over from around the shop, and we're going to make 6 legs in total. Now throughout this build, we did get in contact with one of our friends at Double R Steel, just a local steel place by our house, and they did have a leftover ½ inch steel plate, and we found out that the weight would be around 600 pounds. So on top of the 6 legs, we also decided that we should probably cut some braces to be attached on the bottom. So unlike our other projects, this one doesn't need to be too pretty. After a couple whiskeys, you won't even be able to tell the difference while it's in the shop. So the first step we're going to do is cut an end cap for the 6 legs, and we're going to just weld these onto the bottom. After drilling a hole, we're going to get a nut and install it on the hidden portion of the plate. Once we are complete that and we attach it to the solid legs, we can now put a bolt in there, and that'll allow us to adjust upwards or downwards. Because we're not dealing with relatively flat floors in the shop, it'll allow us to evenly distribute the pressure through the 6 legs. So because I got lazy on the earlier steps, I had pieces that were a lot bigger than what I needed. So I had a lot of cutting and grinding to do. So around halfway through this overall process, I started to get heat in some uncomfortable areas. So after deciding I wanted to have some kids, I put on my protection and got the nice smell of bacon for the rest of the cuts. Now if you're going to be doing any welding, I would recommend buying some 90-degree magnetic clamps. It really makes everything else easier. Even after I started welding, I double checked while I was halfway through the welds once the tacks were complete, just to make sure that it held its 90 degrees. Like we were saying before, because of the heat that's in there, you never know if the steel is going to move on you while you're welding it, so it's important to double check that throughout the process. So the legs aren't going to actually be in contact with the grounding cable or any of the welding portion, so we were okay with spray painting that black. We don't want to spray paint the tabletop black because you would lose your current through there, so you can't actually ground your metal pieces through the welding machine. So for that, what we would recommend is putting a thin layer of wax. You can get this wax at Home Depot, anywhere, mini wax, whatever kind of wax you have. Put a very thin layer. That's going to stop the steel from rusting, and it's going to allow you to maintain a current through the table. Thanks everyone for watching our quick video on how we put together a welding table for our shop. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to subscribe and hit that alert button. On top of that, you'll be interested to know that our next project is our biggest yet. It's going to be how we made our custom curvy woodworking jukebox.